I thought just before we get on with the main painting, I'll just show what that looks like in something I've already done. This was I think the final image was called something like "Are You All Right?" But first of all, you've got to find an idea worth painting, and so this kind of the heart for this one, like the statement, was breaking point, and I had really just two thoughts about it when I started. I wanted it to be sympathetic to the character, and I wanted a contrast between someone helping him and other people not wanting to get involved. And so this sketch, all I'm focusing on is, a couple of characters looking at him in one way, she's looking at him in another way. And I decided, okay, the camera is on his eye level because I want us to feel like we're relating to him and not anyone else. And at this point, none of these character designs are even final. They're not designs. Like, this is just a storyboard. I know that I'm going to go in and change all of what they look like, but I'm only focusing on the big picture at this point. So after that comes I refined the composition basically. I decided that I wanted a letterbox view because it was very hard to tell the whole story I wanted to in a square format on a train. It was really difficult. And so I thought, oh, I can play into that kind of sympathetic composition by putting a kind of child in this corner who hasn't got any stigma about why someone might be upset on a train. So the way she's looking at him is just like, oh, like, what's going on there? And she doesn't really think anything about it. And that's the kind of position I want us to be in as the audience. So I thought that was a quite necessary addition. And again, I'm not focusing on character design or anything. And neither am I focusing on character design here. So this is my value rough, obviously. And I'm only really making two big decisions here. And I'm not thinking of color or anything else. I'm thinking, which direction is the light coming from? It's obviously coming from the right here. And also, what plane are these characters on? So, this is at the front, this is a mid, and then these guys are at the back. And so I've just broken it down into really simple three values. And while this is going to get more complex when I start painting it, it will never deviate now from this high level kind of structure of value. This is always going to be the darkest, this is always going to be the mid, and this is always going to be back. And there's always going to be this contrast between them. And once I've done this, this becomes actually the king of the whole picture because I think the lighting influences the emotion so much. I keep this on the other screen and I have it up there for the rest of the time I'm painting, like 8 hours or so, but I'm always referring back to it. So next up, layout. You can just sketch this. I block it in so that I can imagine the characters filling the space a little bit more easily, but the only decision I'm making here is what local color is everything. And I think you're kind of seeing the pattern now that I'm trying to focus on one thing at each stage. And once I've decided what that is and why I'm doing it that way, I know that I can have confidence in it and I forget about it. So it stops me from, if I get to the point where I'm rendering stuff and I'm thinking, oh, could this be better? Well, no, it couldn't because I've already had that conversation with myself and I made this decision for X, Y, and Z. So thinking about things with those questions empowers you to have confidence in why you did things as well. And it stops you from going backwards and forwards and it's confusing your message. So if I was doing something for a client, this would be like the line work stage and I'd get everyone looking kind of very pretty and recognizable. But for me, when I'm doing a painting on my own, this is sort of an ingredients list at this point for what is each character doing. And I only really I try to keep it high level in the sense that I have one sentence again for each character. So I want them all to have a role. I don't want anyone on screen for no reason. So the cat is in grief, he's grieving. The mouse is helpful. The fox is inquisitive. This deer is judgmental. This capybara is nosy. This dog is inquisitive. This badger is dismissive. Just kind of summarizing each character in a similar way to your heart statement for like the whole piece. It it gives them a point to being there, and it helps to drive your story home. And then this is just the same thing. It's like laying out for the environment, but just with the characters. And again, not getting the lighting involved yet, because the local color of things affects the weight of the image. Like the fact that I've made this black changed the relationship between all of these colors. Like it felt really heavy. So I needed to have these seats be blue for that reason, and put some black down here for it to kind of weigh out the image a little bit. And then I absolutely love this part because you get a really big bang for buck without actually doing much. Light and color. So using my value as a kind of Bible, I make 2 layers, and I shift one to be the color of the shadow, and these are both masks as well. And I shift one to be the color of the light, and I carve out those sections, and I don't go any further than that. I'm just trying to block out the main shapes. But what the masks mean is I can be more detailed if I want, and I don't have to worry about adjusting the colors as I go, or like changing mark by mark. It does get down to that point near the end, but while my headspace is completely taken up with trying to get the temperature of the light and shadow right, I don't want to be thinking, oh, like which colors should I pick around here? Like I don't want it in my head. So again, I'm just trying to keep myself one stage at a time, one question at a time. And the rendering. So this is, you can see there's quite a jump from here to here, but all of the building blocks are still in place.